Hello and welcome to SEO is Not That Hard. I'm your host, Ed Dawson, the founder of keywordspeopleuse.com, the place to find and organise the questions people ask online. I'm an SEO, developer, affiliate marketer and entrepreneur. I've been building and monetising websites for over 20 years and I've bought and sold a few along the way. I'm here to share with you the SEO knowledge, hints and tips I've built up over the years. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of SEO is Not That Hard. Today I'm going to cover tips number 11 to number 20 from my 101 quick SEO tips. See the show notes where you can download all the a PDF with all those tips in if you want to get them a hard copy of them. But let's get on with tip number 11. So tip 11, make sure some content on your website is evergreen content that doesn't go out of date quickly and can generate traffic for a long period of time. So the very best content from a return on investment point of view is that which stands the test of time without the need for a great deal of updating or refreshing. And this kind of content will cover topics that people come back to again and again, or which is consistently bringing new people to them. So for example, there's always people becoming new parents for the first time. That's a guaranteed refreshing audience who will have the same questions over and over again. And that's a great topic for evergreen content. On broadband.co.uk, we had loads of evergreen content. The beginner's guide to broadband, which I wrote the first version of back in 2004. So that's 20 years old now. And that piece of content is still on that website today. Yes, it's had refreshes over time, but the actual piece of content is evergreen. There's always going to be people with beginner questions on broadband, and that is there to attract them in. And that has generated countless hundreds of thousands, if not more, of visits over those 20 years. So that's a great return on investment on that piece of content. Tip 12, with a new website, target long tail traffic to start with. You'll start to build rankings and traffic faster this way. Grow your content and your authority over time. So it's just a fact that with a brand new website, unless you're targeting a very, very specific and underserved niche, then you have a hard time ranking for high traffic popular terms, to the point that it's just really not worth trying. But that's not to say that you shouldn't enter a popular topic, but you should target long tail keywords which you could cover in better depth than anyone else. So then over time, you'll build a body of content and authority that will start to enable you to start targeting and ranking for high traffic keywords. Essentially, you've got to build a base of content that starts to build a pyramid from that long tail content at the bottom up to the sort of the head terms at the top, which get all the traffic, the big heavy head terms. Now, head terms are great in terms of the amount of traffic they produce, but it's very varied what the intent of that traffic is. So it's very hard to actually do, especially if you're trying to monetize people via affiliate sales or via direct sales. Okay, it's great if you're just doing display advertising, but not great for pretty much anything else. And it's also really hard to compete for those keywords because you need a real authority site with lots of history for Google to reward you with those head terms. That's where it makes much more sense to go long tail, to go to the bottom, because there's so many more keywords there that you can target. There's going to be less competition on each of them. So if you just start targeting key ones really well, that's how you'll start to build that traffic, build reputation with Google. And over time, as you build up, you'll start ranking naturally for those head terms. So tip 13, one of the greatest SEO skills is patience. Building out content and traffic takes time. Patience will be rewarded eventually. And most people who start websites, or indeed almost any endeavour, will fail because they don't give it enough time to work. This doesn't necessarily mean you have to be constantly working on a site, rather just having the patience to build out an initial site and then leave it for a while. Sometimes maybe even a year or more to pick up some links and traffic before starting to work back on it later. Can't rush it. Just rushing at creating websites isn't necessarily always the best way. It takes time for Google to start to reward you. I mean, part of it is, I think there's longevity in there. You need to build up history with it. And, sometimes you just need to be patient. Just waiting is what can bring them the most rewards over time. I've seen lots of people who start websites and then give up really quickly. They get bored. They don't see any immediate movement and then they just stop. The people I've seen who are successful are those that start a website and continue plodding on at it. They might not be doing huge numbers of pages and new content weekly, but they keep at it over time and over time and over time and slowly build and slowly build. And over time, they will get those rewards. So it's patience is what you need. Tip 4, the best time to start their website was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Get started. Any website that isn't started and remains just an idea in your head is not going anywhere or going to achieve anything. Every successful site you see today was started by scratch by somebody someday in the past. So you need to get started today, not tomorrow, not in a week or a month, but today. This is just a simple fact of life. Everybody starts from scratch. The best time to start is now. Get on it. Tip 15, familiarize yourself with Google spam policies so you don't get yourself penalized for doing something they don't like. It breaks my heart every time I see a website owner complain they've got penalized by Google for following and implementing an SEO tactic that turned out to be against Google's spam policies. Google's very clear on what tactics they consider against their rules, so make sure you read them and keep up to date with them as they change over time. You really have no one to blame but yourself if you cross their lines and get penalized. Now, if you want to cross the lines, if you want to do that and you know you're crossing the lines, then fine, knock yourself out. That's brilliant. But I'm just so concerned the amount of people who are giving out advice online, on YouTube and on places like that, where they're just telling people do this to rank, but they don't tell people that what they're suggesting for them to do is against Google's terms of service. So you need to have your eyes open. You need to know what's going on. So just familiarize yourself with Google spam policies. Just Google spam policies and you'll find them. Very clear, very easy to read. No technical jargon. Anyone can understand them. Just do it. Tip 16, don't scrimp on web hosting. Always pay for decent, fast and reliable hosting. Now this goes back to tip 1 in a previous episode. As well as wanting your hosting to be fast, Google also wants sites to be reliable. It doesn't want to be sending people to a website that's offline for any reason, so you want your hosting to be as reliable as you can afford. Google accepts that every website will occasionally have downtime. Even Twitter, BBC News, all of them occasionally go down. But if your website is down often or for extended periods, then it will start to affect your rankings. Google will start to just demote you if they can't trust that you're going to be there. It's also bad for your users. People who come to a site and find it's not there, they're just never going to come back. So, get good, reliable hosting. Tip 17, make sure your website is backed up or hosted on a service that provides auto backups. If something disastrous happens, you need to be able to recover it. It's the nightmare situation if any website is losing all the hard work you put into creating and building that website because of an unrecoverable server error or software error. You absolutely must ensure your website's backed up regularly and you have a plan in place to recover if the very worst happens. Now, lots of services will do this for you. Just make sure that when you're buying the service that this is included. And if it's not included, that you know what you're doing. You might be very technical and complete tits on yourself, but if not, make sure that you're happy that if something goes wrong like this, that your hosting provider can recover it all for you. Tip 18, sign up for SEO newsletters to stay up to date with news and updates. As I covered in tip 10 in a previous episode, SEO tactics change a lot over time. It's a must to stay up to date with new developments, and a great way to do this is to sign up to SEO newsletters. They're published by a number of SEO experts and industry commentators. Perfect for staying in touch with latest news and views every week. Just Google SEO newsletters. You'll find a lot of people doing them. Sign up for a few and just keep an eye on them every week for these changes that come in. Tip 19, listen to SEO podcasts to hear stories of how different people use SEO to build audiences and businesses. Now, I'm a big fan of podcasts. You're listening to my podcast now, and they are a great source of both learning and inspiration. And there are a lot of great other SEOs as well and related disciplines doing podcasts out there. I'd strongly suggest you search to find some that you enjoy listening to. And obviously listening to this one, that's a great start. But there are others out there. I don't say just listen to me, listen to plenty of others too. And you've made a great start by listening to this one though. And tip 20, last one for the day. Think about how you monetize your site. Options include affiliate marketing, display advertising, digital products, e-commerce, and many more. It pays to start start thinking about how you monetize at the planning stages of building a site, even if you don't plan to monetize at the start, because different monetization strategies need different functionalities to be considered. So an e-commerce site needs product catalogs, user accounts, payment gateways, and all that kind of thing. Whereas a site where you're just going to concentrate on display advertising is much simpler. You'll probably never need any of those things. So it might affect what platform you choose to start with. So just at the very start, do have a good think about what your longer term plans are for you then to choose what platform you're going to base your initial website on. And that's it. that's tips number 11 to number 20. I hope you've enjoyed them. I hope you found them useful. As I say, in these show notes is a link to a PDF that you can download with all my 101 tips in, and go and get them. But we'll be doing more tips in future episodes. Thanks for being a listener. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe and share. It really helps. SEO is not that hard. It's brought to you by keywordspeopleuse.com, the place to find and organise the questions people ask online. See why thousands of people use us every day. Try it today for free at keywordspeopleuse.com. To get an instant hit of more SEO tips, then find the link to download a free copy of my 101 quick SEO tips in the show notes of today's episode. If you want to get in touch, have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. I'm at Channel5 on Twitter. You can email me at podcast@keywordspeopleuse.com. Bye for now, and see you in the next episode of SEO is Not That Hard.